Coming up, while the election for U.S. Senate here in Arizona is still months away, one candidate is clearly in the lead when it comes to fundraising.
Plus, a proposed bill in the state legislature would allow college students to carry concealed weapons on campus. We'll tell you where it stands.
And later, the Pro Pickleball Association began its new season. We'll tell you which two Arizona sports stars are looking to grow the game.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Molly Hudson.
And I'm Nia Marquez. Thank you for joining us.
Arizona Senator Mark Kelly raised more than $27 million last year, according to the Federal Election Commission. That's almost twice as much as his Republican challengers combined. But as the saying goes, money isn't everything, as Cronkite News reporter Alexia Stanbridge tells us from our Washington bureau.
Political analysts were impressed by the money raised by Senator Mark Kelly, but not surprised by the numbers from a Democrat some called a fundraising juggernaut.
Kelly's fundraising is really astounding, and it's one of the top numbers in the country.
But experts also say Kelly's, quote, giant war chest does not guarantee a win in what is expected to be a tough year for Democrats.
The political environment is really bad for Democrats, as it may be. There may be no amount of money he could spend that saves himself.
That was echoed by Nathan Gonzalez, editor and publisher of Inside Elections.
He might lose re-election because enough voters are dissatisfied with the Democratic president or the Democratic Congress. But money is not going to be Senator Kelly's problem.
For now, Kelly is in a good position. A poll released Tuesday by OH Predictive Insights showed Kelly getting 42% compared to 38% for any Republican challenger.
The same poll showed Attorney General Mark Brnovich leading the GOP primary polls, even though over half of the voters were unsure. But he's also trailing behind two other Republican candidates in campaign cash.
That's not surprising to pollster Mike Noble, who said Brnovich has, quote, never been a prolific fundraiser. He does have name recognition among voters, but that could change.
So no one's really has run away with this race yet, meaning that this race could still absolutely change and shift and have a new frontrunner.
Other analysts agree there is still time for a shakeup in the crowded GOP field.
I think that it's not very predictive this early out. I think it's somewhat based on name ID.
Shields says he's not surprised that Republicans have not raised as much as Kelly, with no clear frontrunner. But Kondik says the challengers have enough money to get their message out. And with control from the Senate at stake, Taylor and others expect to see money flooding into the state from both parties.
Every single Senate race is the tiebreaker, given that we are in a 50-50 Senate.
In Washington, Alexia Stanbridge, Cronkite News.
One wild card in the Republican primary is former President Donald Trump, who has not yet endorsed a candidate in the race. Analysts say Trump's backing would likely propel a GOP hopeful to the front of the pack. State officials are preparing for the 2022 midterm elections. A group of state leaders from across the country gathered this morning to speak about their plans to ensure free and fair elections. After a highly criticized presidential election in 2020, state officials are working to address concerns, including the lack of confidence in the election system. Another troubling trend, according to the group States United Action, is the new trend of election deniers running for election administration positions. Maricopa County Recorder Stephen Ricker was one of 6 officials on the national panel. Ricker says people running for office who say they don't trust the system are actually signaling their endorsement of elections.
Because all of these people are running in that very same election system that they're criticizing. The reality is that these people are revealing their true opinion, that they don't think that the system is wholly corrupt, that they have confidence in the system, so much confidence in the system that they're willing to invest their political future and perhaps their professional future in the various systems. So we certainly welcome that participation.
Despite the challenges that Arizona faced after the 2020 election, Ricker says he's excited for the 2022 general election in Arizona and is hopeful it will finally shift the conversation to a more positive outlook.
A new Arizona bill is seeking to compensate employees who have been fired for not receiving the COVID-19 vaccine. The employees' compensation bill protects those who refuse to get the vaccine due to medical, religious, or other qualifying exemptions. If passed, the employer would have to pay the employee's annual salary in full over 12 months, or would have to rehire the employee in the same or similar position. The bill is being presented in the next couple of weeks to the full House floor. The Maricopa County office received $3 million in grants from the Department of Justice to help find justice for victims of crime. MCAO will receive more than $500,000 for additional DNA testing, creating a county-wide database of cold cases and hiring a data analyst. The grant will help agencies prosecute cases where a suspect's DNA is identified. The other grant will help process rape kits more quickly. It will also allow the county attorney to hire more detectives and crime analysts to assist with investigations of sexual assault crimes.
A new study shows the use of melatonin is to help Americans sleep rose during the pandemic, but officials warn that the use of the supplement can pose a risk to a person's health. Melatonin is not fully regulated by the FDA because it is a dietary supplement. Melatonin is a natural hormone the body produces when it's dark and helps with the body's internal clock. The FDA warns melatonin may interact with other medicines or pose risks to people with medical problems. It is important to talk with a doctor before taking any supplements. With nursing homes across Arizona experiencing severe staffing shortages, the federal government's 5-star rating system will now include information about weekend staffing levels and turnover rates. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services say staff turnover is referred to the percentage of staff and administrators that stopped working at that facility over a 12-month period. The overall star rating will also include health inspections and quality of resident care measures.
A new bill passing through the Arizona legislature could allow concealed carry weapons on college campuses in the state. I took a look at how the change could impact campus safety.
My 14-year-old daughter was murdered with a gun, and it changed my life completely.
Carol Goxiola advocates with AZ Moms Demand Action for stricter gun legislation. She's against a new bill proposed by Senator Wendy Rogers that could allow concealed carry weapons on college campuses.
I can't imagine a parent sending their child to live on campus with that threat.
But gun instructor David Laird says Senate Bill 1123 will make campuses safer.
What we're talking really about is the individual right to own and possess firearms for self-defense. And so by creating a law that prevents folks who are attending college from being able to defend themselves while on campus, I think is one of the primary reasons why we have so much violence on campus.
The bill says universities can't enact or enforce any policy or rule that prohibits the possession of a concealed weapon by a person who possesses a valid permit.
University students make very poor decisions on a daily basis, sometimes hourly basis.
At a Senate hearing, ASU Police Chief Michael Thompson said he opposed the bill. He's joined by Arizona Board of Regents Director John Arnold, who says decisions like allowing concealed weapons on campus should be left up to the universities.
A couple of years ago, we did look at our student safety protocols and updated those, and we do allow for a number of self-defense items that are proven to be effective.
11 states currently allow some form of campus carry, and the bill's sponsor, Wendy Rogers, says if passed, the law will make a difference on Arizona campuses.
And if a college student has a concealed carry weapons permit, then he or she should be able to carry on campus and thus make the campus safer.
Senate Bill 1123 passed the Senate Judiciary Committee by a 4-3 vote. It needs full Senate approval before going to the House.
Coming up after the break, how a bipartisan legislation aims to improve housing availability. We find out how state lawmakers are trying to improve affordable housing in every area of the state. And later, find out what the nation's most adored groundhog predicted when it comes to winter weather.
Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication's Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
I was so excited when I learned that I was going to be the next moderator of Washington Week. I was incredibly lucky to be mentored by Gwen Eiffel, and what that gave to me was this confidence that I could be my full self and that I was deserving of whatever spaces I was in.
Welcome to Washington Week.
I also feel this great joy in taking the helm of Washington Week, knowing that I can mold it and make it my own, but also make sure that it is still within the legacy and the tradition that made it so great for all of these years.
The demand for housing in Arizona has never been higher. A new bill was introduced today that would increase housing supply and affordability. Cronkite News reporter Molly McBride went down to the Capitol to speak with the representatives who are sponsoring the bill.
Rent prices are continuing to climb, especially affecting mid to low-income families. Two legislators want to change that and are working together to combat the housing crisis.
It's often said that purchasing a home is the greatest asset that one can obtain throughout our lifetime. I would say that that would be true if that goal was attainable.
The state right now is facing a housing crisis, and we need a statewide response to this crisis.
Republican Stephen Kaiser and Democrat Cesar Chavez are sponsoring Bill HB 2674. They say the bill will make more affordable housing available in Arizona. According to a national rent report, 4 Arizona cities are in the top 10 for fastest growing rent, including Scottsdale, Mesa, Phoenix, and Glendale.
And streamline zoning processes that recognize a need for all types of housing in Arizona.
The bill will take away unnecessary building requirements that limit affordable housing options. It also includes an $89 million investment to the Arizona Department of Housing Trust Fund. These dollars will support transitional, affordable, and workforce housing. Representative Chavez said that bipartisanship is essential to passing the bill.
Everything that Arizona stands for has been done in a bipartisan fashion, and I hope and I know that that's not going to change with this particular bill.
Chavez says that if the bill passes, people in Arizona will have affordable housing options that fit their needs and provide them the opportunity to invest in Arizona. In the newsroom, Molly McBride, Cronkite News.
Maricopa County reported over 5,000 eviction filings in January, a number not seen since the pandemic began 2 years ago. Evictions dropped dramatically once eviction moratoriums went into effect at the start of the pandemic. According to the Maricopa County Justice Courts, monthly evictions in 2020 ranged between 1,500 to 3,400. Evictions were on the rise by the end of 2021 after federal moratoriums expired, causing evictions to reach pre-pandemic levels in January. And in Phoenix, the City Council will consider offering private landlords $2,000 to rent to very low-income residents. The incentive is meant to push landlords to rent their units to those who hold housing choice vouchers, commonly known as Section 8. The Phoenix Housing Director says part of the challenge is investment companies buying and raising rent on units. This makes it impossible for voucher holders to rent from that location. The incentive was presented to the full council and is awaiting a vote.
It's Groundhog Day, and the beloved Punxsutawney Phil has made his long-awaited debut. Thousands of people gathered in Pennsylvania to witness the famous weather-predicting groundhog. Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow, which according to folklore means we're in for 6 more weeks of winter. It's only a matter of time to see if the groundhog's predictions ring true. Phil has gotten it right only 40% of the time in the past 10 years. So how much can we trust Phil's forecast? He may not be too far off as we notice more wind and colder temperatures in the valley. Peyton Major has a look at your forecast for the coming week. It was quite windy today, and those winds are still lingering, especially out there in the west, but they're going to start to die off the rest of the night and bring some pretty chilly temperatures too. That's because of this low pressure system that's hanging out over the state. It's been pretty dry for the most part, and it's clearing out tonight, but the one thing we do have to worry about is this polar jet stream, bringing cold air from the north. Usually the polar jet stream likes to hang out in these northern states, but it wanted to take a visit to Phoenix and packed its bag full of cold temperatures. How cold are we talking? 27 in Casa Grande, 38 in Phoenix, even up in the single digits up north. And we even have freeze warnings, especially in Casa Grande and Quartzsite, even hard freeze warnings in Tucson and Lake Havasu. The next 3 days will be a cold one. If you have any animals or anything that's susceptible to these cold temperatures, please bring them inside. We're hanging out in the 30s in the morning. Bundle up, pack that jacket. But will there be 6 weeks left of winter according to the groundhog? We'll see about that, because we got temperatures in the 70s, even hitting 77 on Thursday. I don't know about you, but I like to see temperatures back in the 70s. In the Cronkite Weather Center, I'm Peyton Major.
I'm Zachary Larson. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. Fitzgerald or Phelps? Which Arizona sports star has game on the pickleball court? Next.
Cronkite News provides students at ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism with the opportunity to gain real-world experience in the newsroom. At Cronkite News, our students produce professional content for audiences by taking on all roles, whether they be reporting, anchoring, producing, or studio production. Each department gives students first-hand professional newsroom experience. For more information, visit cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
This month in Passport, your on-demand library of the best of PBS.
Everyone has secrets. Are you protecting someone?
I have no choice.
You do have a choice. You're looking at him.
That's amazing. We could be standing on top of a T-Rex right now.
Women demanded new space and pushed the boundaries of what being a lady means.
These and other shows are available with Passport. Become a member of this PBS station, sign in, and start streaming today.
I was so excited when I learned that I was going to be the next moderator of Washington Week. I was incredibly lucky to be mentored by Gwen Ifill, and what that gave to me was this confidence that I could be my full self and that I was deserving in whatever spaces I was in.
Welcome to Washington Week.
I also feel this great joy in taking the helm of Washington Week, knowing that I can mold it and make it my own, but also make sure that it is still within the legacy and the tradition that made it so great for all of these years.
Welcome back to Cronkite News. I'm Zachary Larson, and this is your Cronkite Sports Report. The Coyotes got a huge road win last night against the Avalanche, which ended Colorado's 18-game home win streak. Arizona tied the game with 38 seconds left in regulation to force overtime. The Yotes won in a shootout after Alex Galchenyuk got one through the pipes.
They take pride in the way they play, the way they bounce back, the way they know the Avs. Really good team. They were on a roll, so they arrive here with a lot of pride. They play with a lot of passion, and they battle all the way through.
And more good news for Valley sports fans. Jay Crowder and DeAndre Ayton returned to the lineup last night as the Suns got another win. Devin Booker dropped 35 points, and Chris Paul dished 14 assists in the win over Steve Nash's Brooklyn Nets. Paul said it was great to have Crowder and Ayton back.
I think it shows how special our team is. You know, them games, the guys just came back and it was like they was never out. You know what I mean? Same energy on the bench, everybody cheering for one another.
And in the WNBA, the Phoenix Mercury re-signed wing Sophie Cunningham, who was drafted by the team in 2019. Cunningham played a key role in the Mercury's run to the finals last season. The team said signing her was a priority. the Cardinals have been named in a class action lawsuit filed by former Dolphins head coach Brian Flores. The suit alleges racism and double standards within the NFL's hiring process and cites the firing and subsequent replacement of former Cardinals coach Steve Wilkes as support. Flores says the lawsuit is bigger than just football.
The numbers speak for themselves as far as the hiring, firing, and the lack of opportunities for minority and black head coaches and executives in the National Football League, and we need to change.
Today is National Signing Day for college football. It's a tale of two off seasons for in-state rivals Arizona and Arizona State, with the balance of power of the Territorial Cup appearing to shift. The Wildcats have a highly touted recruiting class, which ranks second in the Pac-12 according to 24/7 Sports, led by four-star receiver Tyrone McMillan. Meanwhile, Arizona State's class checks in last in the conference and outside the top 100 nationally for the first time in school history. An NCAA investigation into alleged recruiting violations at ASU continues to affect the program. Cronkite News has confirmed with ASU that defensive coordinator and recruiting coordinator Antonio Pierce is no longer with the program. ASU parted ways with 4 other football coaches last week. Finally, the Pro Pickleball Association served up its new season last weekend in Phoenix, and a pair of Arizona sports greats got in on the action. Cronkite News reporter Gareth Kwok has a story on how 2 former sports stars are looking to grow the game of pickleball.
What happens when you bring together arguably the greatest Arizona Cardinal of all time with the most decorated Olympian of all time? A pickleball match for the ages. The Pro Pickleball Association stopped by Phoenix for its first tournament of the year, and a celebrity match that got fans into the seats. Larry Fitzgerald and Michael Phelps traded in helmets and swim caps for paddles and pickleballs.
Oh man, it's nice to come out and see the support that Arizona shows, and you know, when you have the best Olympian in world in all the world come out here and participate, and people are going to show up.
The thing that's so special about the game of pickleball is really anyone can play it, and especially high-level athletes like them. It's a great opportunity for them to still, showcase their competitive juices and get out and have a good time.
Pickleball grew 21% during the pandemic, with over 4 million players in the U.S. Fitzgerald and Phelps joined the boom, with Fitz building a court at his home. And on center stage, it was Fitzgerald who stole the show.
This guy's got game. We saw that. I mean, I know he's played a lot in the past. He plays a few times a week. We were talking about it earlier, getting me out. I need to learn a few tricks. Probably gripping a little too hard, but it's fun.
The Pro Pickleball Association sold over 1,000 tickets as fans flocked here to the JW Marriott to see the first tournament of the 2022 PPA Tour season. Michael Phelps and Larry Fitzgerald gave the crowd a treat, but they hope to get the fans out onto the courts.
I guess it's fun to be able to do something that you can do as a family, and it's one of the few sports that everybody can pick up a paddle and a ball in 20 minutes. As long as you know the rules and you're the same level, you'll have a great time.
For now, Fitzgerald has traded pigskins for paddles in his new pursuit of pickleball. As for Phelps, he might need some more practice. In Phoenix, Gareth Kwok, Cronkite News.
That's all for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you, Molly.
NASA announced it plans to retire the International Space Station. Coming up, we'll tell you how the station will be removed from space.
Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication's Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
I was so excited when I learned that I was going to be the next moderator of Washington Week. I was incredibly lucky to be mentored by Gwen Eiffel, and what that gave to me was this confidence that I could be my full self and that I was deserving of whatever spaces I was in.
Welcome to Washington Week.
I also feel this great joy in taking the helm of Washington Week, knowing that I can mold it and make it my own, but also make sure that it is still within the legacy and the tradition that made it so great for all of these years.
NASA is retiring the International Space Station after 3 decades in orbit. NASA plans to crash the ISS into a part of the Pacific Ocean in January 2031. The area known as Point Nemo is the most remote part of the Pacific Ocean and has been used for years as a crash site for pieces of space debris. The ISS launched in 2000 and has been a temporary home to more than 200 astronauts from 19 countries. NASA will have to rely on the private sector to continue scientific research in space without the ISS.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.